René Descartes was a 17th century philosopher who is most famous for his adage, that's a fun word, he's most famous for his adage, cognito ergo sum. I think I did that the wrong way across the screen. A lot of people hear the phrase but don't really know what it means, so here I am to enlighten you, you cretin. Cognito ergo sum basically means I think, therefore I am, but people still misunderstand that, so let's go further. Descartes wanted to know, but he didn't know what he could know, so he couldn't know anything. So he decided to go back to everything's essential thing. And he thought, well, what is the essential thing about knowledge? What is the one thing that is certain? And he came to the conclusion that the one thing that he could know was that he thinks. And he uses that as a justification for why he exists. But a more troubling notion within Descartes is the rejection of empirical evidence. Because Descartes says that we can't trust our senses because they can deceive us. For example, I could have a dream and I could really think I am sitting in front of a log fire, but I'm not. Therefore, our senses can deceive us. The only thing that we can know is that we think. The whole idea that we can't know anything but our own minds has developed into this really quite troubling theory called solipsism, in which we can only prove that only we exist, and therefore it gets to some morally grey areas, which I'm not going to explore. It's kind of similar to The Matrix, in that this may or may not be the real reality, but we could be a brain in a vat, for example, and everyone seems to be troubled by the notion that we might not be living in the real world. But I would argue that even if we're not living in the real world, the things that we feel are still just as valid, and so there's no reason to be shocked by the idea that we don't live in the real world, because does it matter if we live in the real world or not? No, it does not.